It's now 6 o'clock right here on Big Breakfast, Today FM, today's hit music.
Hey, I'm Pauline.
And I'm Alan. Tune in to the Breakfast Show on Today FM with Pauline and I every weekday morning.
From 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Right here on Today FM, today's hit music.
Today FM, today's hit music.
Tonight, Elections Office confirms people can still vote if they don't have their voter ID cards. FijiFirst launches manifesto in Nandi. And iconic clock that sits atop government building chimes again. Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate and this is FBC News. People who have lost their voter identification cards can still vote in the 2014 elections. Chanel Sivan reports the Fijian Elections Office has given the green light for those who have lost their ID cards to be verified through other means.
Yes, you can still vote if you have lost your ID card. If you have any other ID, simply produce that ID and you will be able to we will be able to verify your details and will allow you to vote.
The Elections Office has this afternoon confirmed that presiding officers at polling stations will be able to verify voters' identities. They've been authorized to ask specific questions that only genuine voter would know the answers to. Election Supervisor Muhammad Sanim says people should not be disappointed if they've lost their voter ID cards. Day 3 of pre-polling continued today with 77 pre-polling venues operational and an estimated 9,000 people having voted.
We did not have any major setbacks today except for weather. In Natuva today in the Central Division, our helicopter was not able to land because of fog. So polling was delayed by 1.5 hours and we made up for it by extending it in the later to the closing hours. So we started at 10:30 today and it was dense fog and the chopper couldn't land. Also we had a weather condition, the boat couldn't get to Lakemba because of the tide. So polling started in Lakemba from midday.
Sanim also confirms elections team will tomorrow visit 2 areas where there was a shortage of ballot papers.
We are only going back to places where there was shortage of material by FEO. If voters did not turn up to places where there was no shortage of material, which would be the case from yesterday, we will not be going back to recover those areas.
There will be 72 polling centers open tomorrow all over Fiji, with 9,719 people expected to vote. Chanel Shivan, FBC News.
More and more people are turning up for pre-polling as the process rolls out all over Fiji. Watisoni Rakandroka was in the upper reaches of the Rewa Delta this morning and files this report.
Pre-polling took place in one of the more remote parts of Rewa.
Today is the third day of pre-polling and we are on our way to Wutia village on the other side of the Rewa Delta.
A large crowd gathered at the Wutia Primary School right from the morning ready to cast their vote. This pre-polling center is catering for 3 villages, Wutia, Narodivo and Tabuya. It's estimated that close to 500 people voted here today. For many young people like William Reikamu, voting for the first time is a great experience.
It's my first time and before I go there to do the voting, I don't know what will be happening there. And when I enter the room, those people there, they explain what should we do when we do the voting. And now we finished doing it. And now it's my first time vote.
Wutia Primary School is one of about 100 other pre-polling stations that open around the country today. Those who turned out to vote hope that it will bring them a promising future.
We want good government to be leading us tomorrow. And I believe the party that I chose today will be leading us in a good place in our future.
As the pre-polling commences, the people of Wutia, Narodivo and Tabuya are here in large numbers casting their votes.
Voting at this school and all other pre-polling centers closes at 6 p.m. Watisoni Rekanroka, FBC News.
FijiFirst launched its party manifesto in Nandi town with party leader Vorenge Bainimarama outlining the values and principles of the movement and its policies if elected into government. Akosita Tale was at the launch and files this report.
FijiFirst in its manifesto promises to deliver a level of service unmatched by any government and continuing the legal reforms by strengthening existing laws and introducing new ones.
We don't make promises that we know we can keep. In stark contrast to our opponents, you can trust us when we say what we will do. You can be sure that it will be done, because our whole record in government over the past 8 years is to keep our promises.
If elected into government, FijiFirst promises to address corruption within the TLTB, where landowners have allegedly been deprived of their say in the renewal of leases. It will set aside $10 million to help develop Itoke land for subdivision and development. The FijiFirst manifesto says if elected, the government will take over imports fuel through international tenders and negotiate lower prices. Existing oil companies will then buy fuel from the government, generating revenue and guaranteeing stability of supply.
That growth is set to continue as confidence builds in the new Fiji we have created. A nation of equal opportunity, fairness, and justice for all. No matter who you are or where you come from. Instead of a message of division and hatred, we offer a vision of unity, inclusion, and caring for everyone.
The party promises to implement digital television by the end of 2015 with $2 million to supply set-top boxes for Fijians. It will also implement the recommendations of the 2014 Ministry of Anti-Corruption's LTA report, which addresses inefficiency, corruption, road user levy, wheel tax, and inconsistency in the application of LTA rules and regulations.
I urge you all to examine its contents as you make perhaps the most important decision you will ever make on our nation's history. Who is best placed right now to lead us into a united and prosperous future? Because, being no doubt, Fiji is at a crossroad.
The manifesto also says FijiFirst will develop more state land for squatters, and all state land on which squatters have been living will be subdivided with 99-year leases. Electricity subsidies for low-income families will be increased from 75 kilowatts to 85 kilowatts. It will also provide 91,250 liters of water every year to households earning less than $30,000 annually. FijiFirst proposes to continue zero VAT and price control on basic food items. Akosita Tale, FBC News.
Akosita Tale joins us live from the West Office. Ako, I understand there are a host of other initiatives that FijiFirst is proposing.
Yes, Jackie, FijiFirst leader Vorenge Bainimarama says the manifesto launch is an addition to a wide range of measures that already exist and in some cases will be expanded if FijiFirst is elected into government. He pointed out that the party had always intended to launch its manifesto in Nandi because the Western is important for the health of the economy and the well-being of Fiji. The manifesto was launched in front of hundreds of Nandi residents this morning. Back to you, Jackie.
Thanks for that update, Akosita. After the break, Education Ministry encourages students of legal age to vote in large numbers.
Oya wa watisoni dalai.
Gonga ya mosdono.
Nama kikirau bena tolu kene bitu. Ena via kabi moliti kene porombuka.
Goria na lali ne kabi. Bula FM namba 2 NSR. Welcome
back. This is FBC News. Police are investigating comments by former Prime Minister Sitiveni Rabuka in relation to the 45 Fijian troops held hostage by Syrian rebels. Rabuka told Radio New Zealand that Fiji Muslims could suffer backlash if the troops are hurt in any way. Police Chief Operations Officer ACP Rusiate Tunravu confirms a directive has been issued to look into the comments. Meanwhile, a local Farid Khan of Nasinu believes he was targeted because he is a Muslim. Khan says he was approached by an unknown man at the Vodafone Triangle in Suva yesterday morning. The would-be assailant asked Khan if he was a Muslim and then tried to assault him. Only later did he realize that this could have been linked to Rabuka's comments.
I was actually having my coffee. I was going through my Facebook and I read that article from Radio New Zealand in which Mr. Rabuka said that we could have a backlash from the things happening at Golan Heights. I think that sort of prompted me to report because I could see similarities in that,
Khan has left the matter with police. The Education Ministry has encouraged all schools and teachers to cover as much of their elections as possible during classes, especially for 18-year-olds who will be voting for the first time. Many 6th and 7th formers have registered and have shown an enthusiasm to be part of the 2014 elections process. Vosita Wasawasa reports.
Apart from everyday classes, many schools have taken time to educate young voters about the elections process, and the ministry has endorsed this move.
We have left it entirely on the teachers, and because it is a historic event for Fiji, teachers may be asking students to write even essays as what it means to have a democratic government, and also in history and economics there is a topic on role of government. So teachers are free to talk about elections, and teachers are also free to explain to the students how they would be casting their votes.
Basundra Kumar says the Education Ministry is confident that 18-year-olds will be ready come polling day and will make educated decisions when choosing their candidate.
There is a lot of educational programs that are going on TV, on radio, and it's coming out in the newspapers. The voter-friendly cards are being inserted into the papers. So our students must be reading, and I think our children are, they're much advanced and they have got good exposure to be able to determine and establish how they're going to vote in these elections.
About 45% of the 590,000 registered voters will be voting for the first time. Many of them weren't old enough to vote in the last election, while others qualify under the 18-year age limit. Vasita Kotiwasawasa, FBC News.
The Fiji National Provident Fund has announced a net surplus of $356 million for the financial year ending 30th June 2014. This is an increase of 21% compared to 2013, Shireen Lanta reports.
The audited account includes key subsidiaries such as the ATH, HFC and FNPF Investment Limited. Chief Executive Officer Isake Taito says the last financial year was another year of significant progress.
We continue to reap the benefits of the reform that has formed the core of our business objective. I am pleased to report that as a team, we have been able to make considerable progress in advancing FNPF over the last 12 months.
This year's result was driven by a big push to collect members' funds from employers, good returns from investments, and a positive performance by the Natandola Resort.
Although FNPF recognizes that the investment landscape will continuously present new challenges, we are confident that our assets allocation strategies will enable us to maintain our ultimate objectives of adding value for our members.
Members' contributions alone totaled $375.7 million, an increase of 9.5% from last year. The FNPF is confident it has strategies, resources and people to offer excellent services in the coming years. Sharin Lata, FBC News.
A new market and female vendors accommodation in Nandi is expected to benefit women from Nandi, Ba and the Nadronga province. Akosita Tale was at the launch of the new facilities.
Female market vendors using the Nandi market won't have to sleep on the footpath or out in the open anymore. The new facilities come as a huge relief for these women.
Before, we used to sleep outside on the pavement, during bad weather and now with the strong heat. But today we are all witnessing the opening of new accommodation for us women, especially for those of us who travel from as far as Mbukuya.
My father is since here for 43 years he is in here, and hopefully that I've lost my mother about 1 year, 7 months has gone. I wish that she must be here at the moment and see that how Nandi has been developed so much.
The new extension will house approximately 300 stalls under a new shelter, mostly for female vendors. These vendors are from the interior of Ba, Nandrunga and Nandi, who cannot go back home due to unsold produce and high cost of transportation.
No longer do they have to sleep on the pavement next to their produce. No longer do they have to worry about the weather or their personal security.
The initial cost of upgrades was just over $500,000, but seeing that women vendors had it tough, another $300,000 was added to the budget, while the Nandi Town Council gave an additional $40,000.
The hostel will have a capacity of 30 women at any one time. A small area on the ground floor has also been created or reserved for them to do business after hours.
The new market complex now has 1,089 stalls, 20 lock-up stalls, a canteen, a fish market, 2 sets of public conveniences, a vendor hostel and space for a night market. Akusita Talei, FBC News.
The iconic clock at government buildings in Suva has been repaired in time for the opening of the new parliament. The famous clock is chiming again after an expert from the United Kingdom completed work on the historic monument. Ellen Stahls reports.
It's as if a remnant has come back to life. A piece of Suva's history, the once neglected clock, now tells the time to the minute. And it's all thanks to this man, Keith Youngs, a clock expert from the UK.
I think the clock hasn't had much attention from a clockmaker for many, many years. And so really it's been a restoration of the clock right from the bottom to the top. So we've dismantled the clock completely, we've cleaned it, we've done a few minor repairs. With the help of the chaps working on site here, we've reglazed all the dials, we brought the bells back into operation, and so now you have a clock which has been serviced from top to bottom.
People working at government buildings and nearby offices can already hear the clock bells ring every 15 minutes and on the hour. Youngs says he was honoured to work with this rare turret clock.
We're very lucky in the UK, you know, we're responsible for some of the country's most prestigious clocks like Hampton Court Palace, Salisbury, Canterbury Cathedral and Big Ben as well. So to come along here and work on a very unique clock, there's no other clocks known to be made by this company. So it's been a great pleasure to be out in here in Fiji working on your clock.
While in Suva, he also took time out to look at this clock in Thurston Garden. This clock, however, dates back to the year 1938 and is part of renovations to government buildings before the opening of Parliament post-election. Ellen Stahls, FBC News.
Jamie joins you now with Friday Night Sports.
Good evening. In sports tonight, Tangele Narovoro eyed for Flying Fijians and Ilyas Tanivula names Fijiana squad for IRB Series qualifier. This and more after the break.
छू 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 हे हे नमस्ते फीजी, आपके हर एक प्रॉब्लम की दवा लेकर मैं आ गई हूँ 9 से 12 बजे तक आपकी सहेली रेनू। छू 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 40 में 20 का दिखना है। मैं हूँ ना आपके साथ में मिर्ची एफएम पर 9 से 12 बजे तक मंडे टू फ्राइडे। मिर्ची इट्स हॉट।
Welcome back to FBC Sports. The Flying Fijians are in contact with Waratah Super Rugby back Tangele Nayarovoro for national duties. Though he will not be part of the end-of-year tour, Coach John McKee is keeping the big Fijian in sight for future plans. The former Rugby League rep made the switch from the West Tigers in the NRL to play for the Waratahs earlier this year. McKee says like all Fijian players applying their trade around the world, he was also keeping tabs on Nayarovoro.
We've been in touch with him and had some very brief talks. I mean, in the immediate short term, I'd say no, like so leading towards November, but for next year, there's possibility.
Meanwhile, Nairovoro will start for the Greater Sydney Rams against the Perth Spirit tomorrow in the Australian National Rugby Championship. Fijiana Sevens coach Eliasa Tanivula today named his 12-member team for the IRB 2014-2015 Women's Series qualifiers. Tanivula has selected a squad with a mixture of young blood and some seasoned reps. The side will face Japan, Kenya and Argentina in the pool stages of the tournament and is optimistic of its chances.
Some of Ben's training sessions with the men's sevens team and the under 18s was good to get there and have another view of sevens at its best and with the intensity and the runnings that's involved. Thank you, Ben.
The tournament will be played in Hong Kong from the 12th to the 13th of this month. Netball Fiji will be selecting its final squad next week for the Test series against Malawi in November. The initial squad was announced after the National Championships that was held in Lautoka last month. Josephine Navula takes a look at how preparations are coming along.
After the successful turnout at the National Championships, the netball officials have spotted fresh talents to vie for the spot in the final squad. Team manager Rubian Sorawaki says the current 26 players in the training squad will help them select the right players for the final team.
Having 26 is quite good for us in the sense that there's only 12 spots, or 15 with the 3 non-traveling. So that gives them a bit of competition, we'll have a bit more competition in the other girls trying to get in. We have a couple of young Lautoka girls that have made their way into the squad, and the overseas based are still advising us on whether or not they'll make it through for the trials.
Sorawaki says the girls have been following a training program and have been showing improvement.
Those that have been on the training program, which was left by Julie a couple of months ago on our return from the Cooks, they obviously performed at their peak. They really stood out during the national champs, and we were happy with that because it means that they've actually followed the program. And fitness-wise, they lasted the whole game, and the intensity of the game was really good. The Nasinu Suva final. So we're just hoping that the girls are taking that into next week when the fitness test is carried out.
She adds that the injured players have recovered well for the selections too.
Well, when we came back from the Cooks, it was just our captain, Matilla, but she's come back very strong. She's gone through recovery sessions very well. She's looked after herself, and that's a bonus for us.
The national trial will be on the 12th and 13th of September in Suva. Josephine Navula, FBC Sports.
The Fiji Primary Schools Football Inter-District Championship promises to be bigger this year. With a larger number of teams taking part, organizers say this will be the biggest tournament to date.
This year, it is in the history of Fiji Primary that we have got 20 teams, 20 under 14 teams. And we have got the inclusion of Navosa, which is coming for the first time. And all this while, we were usually having 16 to 18 teams. And this is the first time that we have got 20 teams. And it is the first time that Suva is hosting and at the ANZ Stadium, which is itself a big thing that we are hosting the tournament at the ANZ Stadium. It is a great opportunity for the young kids to showcase their talent at the ANZ Stadium.
The tournament will be played from September 10th to the 12th. That was your sports for this evening. It's back to Jackie now with business.
Fiji Link will be relocating its domestic operations to a new terminal at the Nandi International Airport from tomorrow. The move is in line with the redesign and modernization of the Nandi International Airport into a world-class port. The terminal is designed to enable improved passenger convenience with extra check-in counters, quick turnaround of aircraft and other amenities. Stefan Pickler, Managing Director and Chief Executive of the Fiji Airways Group, adds the change will allow Fiji Link to provide exceptional customer service with a dedicated space for customers. The new Fiji Link terminal is a standalone building currently housing the Nandi Airport Medical Centre. Weather time now with Trish.
Thank you, Jackie. Today's conditions, Suva had fine weather in the morning with very occasional showers in the afternoon. The rest of the remaining 5 centers, Nandi, Lautoka, Ba, Lambasa, all had fair conditions all throughout the day. Temperatures Suva 29, Nandi 33, Lautoka 31, Ba 32, Sabusaba 28 and Lambasa 32. The weekend is here and you must have plans for a family outing. Well then, tomorrow should have good weather to step outside. Saturday's forecast, Suva should have fair conditions in the beginning of the day with a chance of brief showers in the afternoon. As for Nandi, Lotokamba and also Lambasa might have fine weather galore all day. For mariners, east to northeast winds 10 to 15 knots and moderate seas. This beautiful picture of a waterfall depicts serenity. If you have images that you would like to share with us, then send them in to citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj.
Thanks so much for that, Trish. Recapping our top stories tonight. The Fijian Elections Office confirms people can still vote if they don't have their voter ID cards. FijiFirst has launched its manifesto in Nandi today, and the iconic clock that sits atop government building in Suva is back in working condition. Now time for the Fijian Speak segment.
I think FijiFirst.
Because they have helped a lot. For example, they are in the process of rectifying my settlement. I like it. For us drivers, the road is better. Every time something breaks down, the road is very good.
Breakdown, and this time road very good.
Meanwhile, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. And to receive the latest headlines on your mobile phone, take subspace FBC to 777. That's news for tonight. Join the team and I again next week, Monday. Good evening.